shining in me now. The peace of God, shining in me now. The peace of God is shining in me now. The peace of God, shining in me now. The peace of God, shining in me now. The peace of God, shining in me now. The peace of God is shining in me now. The peace of God, shining in me now. The peace of God, shining in me now. The peace of God, shining in me now. The peace of God is shining in me now.
Morgan. It was pretty good. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. We're on. Good morning, everyone watching live stream. I love you. So welcome to Friday morning at Course in Miracles. And I'm going to open up with prayer and just do a couple of announcements. And today I wanted to just share on a practical level on how to be a miracle worker. So I'm going to keep it real simple today. And this is really what A Course in Miracles is about, where you undergo a transformation, where you undo all the blocks and the obstacles in you, and you open yourself up for the love and the joy and the peace of God to flow through you. And then I want to open it up for anyone to come up here and share. I want to open it up for questions today. I want it to be very interactive, because this really is a practical course. It's not about listening to somebody and hearing their experience. It's where you take a principle and go test it out. You know, tomorrow's lesson, I'm always a day ahead because I'm doing the workbook lessons in audio form. I do these 10-minute audio talks every day for anyone who wants additional encouragement, and it's called Guide to 365. It's the 1-year commitment to the workbook lessons. Good morning. And tomorrow's lesson says to not take these ideas on unsupported basis, to test them out. And the only way that you'll know that they work is to start testing them out, to start calling on God, to start using forgiveness as your first response to everything. Good morning. And you begin to see your entire world begin to shift. So just a couple of announcements. Monica's doing a Sunday prosperity workshop in Exeter from 1 to 4? 6. 1 to 6 on Front Street. I have brochures, 24 Front Street. That's this Sunday. Come see me after that. There's lots of Course in Miracles groups that are happening, and lots of other related events to people in this group. So you can go to our website, teachersofgod.org, under the events section. And Garko?
Yeah, does anybody like Christmas music?
Not really, but
No?
yeah.
Not so much?
Tell us something.
All right, I'll tell you. I'll get some flyers from the car before I leave. But I sing in a choir called Rock My Soul, and it's like gospel rock. It's like Mahalia Jackson or Aretha Franklin or Springsteen or something like that. And it's become really a family tradition for a lot of people, like in the Dover area, because we really do rock the house. and it's a lot of fun. It's a really high-spirited kind of thing, very joyful. So there's a show in Kittery, downtown Kittery, on I believe the 6th, and there's a show in Dover at St. John's Methodist Church on the 20th, and I'll get some flyers before you all leave, and if anybody might be interested in that, it's really a lot of fun.
Awesome, and that
Yeah.
reminds me that I think Thanksgiving is this week. So the Unity Thanksgiving potluck is this Wednesday night. Does anyone know what time it's?
5 o'clock is food, and 7 o'clock is the open mic.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so that's this Wednesday. David Tompkinson, I heard you did an awesome job on
He hit a home
Sunday.
run.
Oh my god.
He hit a grand slam.
Thank you.
It was
I got
awesome.
reports in Oregon.
We had some mighty companions there, it was really good.
Awesome.
And Vicky Poppy is having David Fishman's blowout holiday party of the year on December 12th at her house. It's actually a 5-day event. A lot of people are flying in from around the world to come and be at Vicky's house. And the main party is going to be on Saturday the 12th. If you'd like to talk to Cheryl, I don't know if there's any more rooms down there with the Adams Inn.
I have 4 rooms reserved
I want
under
one.
my name. Oh, you do, okay. So I have 3 rooms reserved under my
Yeah.
name. And if you want one, they're $99 a night.
Yeah, that's really good.
And it doesn't matter if it's 1 person or 3 people or 2
Mhm.
people, it doesn't matter.
Yep.
So they're just set price and,
Mhm.
yeah, because the other rooms went back to public. So we have no other rooms
Okay.
available.
And Bill is on his way to Florida right now to visit his kids. Linda's with her sister Lisa. Rosemary's traveling. Where's Rosemary?
Wedding in Virginia.
A wedding, okay. Sean, we love you, Sean, if you're out there listening, we miss you. We're still using all of our powers to get you to New England.
Can I
Yes.
talk a little bit about the party?
Yeah,
Okay, so, Doug wants everyone to know this is a party. This is not, we're not asking for any money. It's fun. And we're also we've got a couple surprises. One in particular is we have a gentleman coming in from Hawaii, Craig, do you remember his last name? Oh, I can't remember his last name. Villarubia?
Oh, yeah.
Villarubia. And he's actually possibly will be filming. He may be doing some documentary. He's going to be opening the mic to people and asking them, excuse me, what is your experience on a daily basis with the Course in Miracles? So he may be incorporating that. So we're going to have a lot of fun. And
This is the party at Vicky Poppy's you're talking
correct. Doug doesn't want me to say this, but it started off as Doug calling me back in August and asked if I could help him throw a special once-in-a-lifetime extravaganza. That's what we came up with. And so I was, sharing it with people online and, through Awakening Together Sanctuary, where we're on live chat. And I kept saying, yes, it's in honor of Doug. And he just wanted everyone to know, no, it's not about me. This is all about sharing, coming together, equality. So just wanted everybody to know that. So we're not asking for any money. It's just strictly a party.
This is
Awesome.
December,
December 11th through the 14th. I do personally have 3 rooms left reserved under my name. So if you're really interested, all you have to do is give me a call. 216-952-2691.
is there an online webpage where people can go for more information?
Yes, on Facebook, there is a Dove's Once in a Lifetime Extravaganza. That's the name of it. And just go ahead and click and all the information you need is on there.
Thank you.
awesome.
All right.
Thank you. Okay, so let us pray. Yes, go
I
ahead.
don't know if you knew, it's just starting this Sunday. There's a new Course in Miracle group here at the church
Oh, great.
at 12 o'clock.
Oh, good.
What day?
It's
Sunday.
Sunday.
this Sunday at 12.
Chris.
Chris, he's from New Hampshire.
Oh, great. 12 o'clock here.
Oh, Nancy's co-leading.
No, because he comes from a different year.
Casanova and I are gonna co-lead it.
Yay.
That's
Great.
awesome, Nancy.
That's good. There's lots of Course in Miracles groups that are happening. So,
Fowey has one on
yes.
Thursdays.
I talked to Paul Hasselbeck from Unity, and he's finishing up the book that he's writing about A Course in Miracles and Unity.
Hey.
It's gonna be this later in the fall.
Course in Miracles and Unity are identical, by the way. For anyone who's read all of Charles Fillmore's and Myrtle Fillmore's books and the Course, you know that they're identical. Unity teaching since then has changed a little, so somehow a lot of people think Unity is different from a Course. But if you actually read what they say and you read the Course, it's the same message, start to finish. So let's pray. Prayer is a way to reach to God. That's all it is. We're plugging in. We're going to plug into that energy field of love, the presence of God, which is what you are. So I want you to just focus on your heart area. I want you to breathe in deeply. I want you to feel the love of God within you now. And we thank you, Jesus, that you are here with us. We turn our hearts and our minds to you. And we trust that you are guiding us. We declare that this is a new beginning. This place right here, right now, this is a new beginning. And we ask for the wisdom and the strength to let the past go. That it no longer hold us to our old identity, to our old ways. This now moment is where we begin, and we go forward, our eyes looking forward. Now, we don't know what the adventure is going to look like, but we know it's going to be good because you're here with us, and now the path is open. Now our eyes are open. Our eyes are open, and we're listening. We're listening to your voice. We're acknowledging your presence. And so in this moment, we ask that anything that's blocking anyone here, anyone listening, anywhere of anyone in the world, that you remove whatever it is that's blocking them. And our part is just to be here joined together. And that's the beauty. Our job is just to be in joy as little children. And while we're being children of God, you are out clearing the path, healing everything in our bodies, in our minds, in our hearts, in our relationships. And for this we give thanks. Amen. Amen. So today, I wanted to just have this be practical. I wanted to tell a little story about what happened in Oregon. And I was thinking about my own practices with A Course in Miracles. And I really feel the first part for anyone who's here, who's dedicated to this, is you read the book and you do the workbook lessons. I just personally feel that is so important. And I don't feel that you have to keep reading it. It's a 1-year mind training program. It's literally an owner's manual. And, you know, I feel like what's going to start happening is they're going to start giving that book to you when you're born. You know, it's just going to be like, okay, welcome to Earth, little one. Here you go. And the parents are going to be raising their children this way. That there's going to be a whole different way of living now where people are not going to reach the place of fear. So the place for us is we came in as perfect light beings, and immediately upon arrival, we started to learn fear, and it started to build. It starts building the wall. So the Course in Miracles, the mind training, undoes the fear. And it says you must emerge from fear. You must emerge from doubt. And he says you have to do it. It can't be done for you. You have to recognize the fear, and then you make a decision, you're done with it. And no one knows how to do that. Nobody in the beginning knows how to do that, because our experience is so much about fear. So the mind training of A Course in Miracles is the first thing it gets you to do is to start to look at your thoughts, to start to look at the way that you feel. So you start to, look who's here. Hi, God, Jesus.
He is, too.
Hey, did you miss him?
Miss him. Hey, Jay, bro.
Hi, Jay.
Welcome back.
Yeah, thanks.
Kelly, he must be here for the class.
Absolutely, I know.
Oh, what am I doing? Thank
What
you.
am I doing?
You want Jesus all
Trying
for
to steal
yourself.
Jesus.
You want Jesus all for
Hi, God,
yourself.
Jesus.
Kidnapping Jesus.
You want him all for herself.
I come as a light in the dark, and I love you all.
And he's high-fiving.
He's high-fiving us.
Thank you, yeah, I got it, thanks.
So the first step is you start to identify how you're feeling and what you're thinking. And one of the things that I was thinking about is what's the fast track? Like Jesus says, there's no order of difficulties in miracles, and a miracle doesn't take any time. So a lot of times people think that there's a process, that you're starting where you are, and you're doing work, and it's leading you somewhere, and you'll arrive someday. And what you'll begin to notice is you never actually arrive. You're always in the process until you make a decision that you're just going to go there today. And the way I always describe it is two circles, you know, fear and love, two thought systems. And what Jesus says is there's no place that these two worlds intersect at all. And this is why Jesus says, you need me. You need a guide. You need this presence to catapult you out of this thought system. Like I think of it like a very sticky thought system. Like it literally has us stuck in our own feelings and emotions. And you often feel, I don't know how to change. I don't know how to get out of here. And that's why the practice is be still. Be still and trust and acknowledge my presence. And a lot of people at first have difficulty with this because it starts to sound religious. It starts to sound like, you know, I don't want to use God. I hear God and I vomit, right? I choke. And, you know, just a resistance that comes with the name Jesus or Christ or Holy Spirit or God. And the way for me is I just think you just have to do it. There's no other way. You can dance around intellectually as much as you want, but that first direct encounter with this energy field will change you. It just will. And you don't have to know how to do it. You just have to say, I want to change. I want to live in love. This is what I want. And the second you do that, I really feel it's like a quantum experience where the energy starts to shift immediately upon you doing that. You just vibrate from your thoughts or from your words. I want to live in love. And the second you do that, things begin to shift. Now, the problem most people have is when the shift occurs, you revert back into fear again, and you think you've done something wrong. But if you can remember, I asked for change. I asked for change, and here it is, and it's not at all what I expected. You know, you lose your job, or you lose your relationship, or you feel like a lot, you start to lose things. And to me, what I feel is that this is the purification that A Course in Miracles talks about. So miracles are everyone's right, but purification is necessary first. And I see it like a loosening. You know, we've kept ourselves so bound and tightly wound up in fear that when you make that declaration, I'm going to be here available for this light to come through me. That's a big one. I don't have a plan. I'm just available. And it's like, okay. And then what happens is the fear starts to come up. And what A Course in Miracles says is that what's in your mind is seen as outside external. So for a moment, all the fear that you've kept controlled, buried down, pushed down, is now moving. Right? It's moving. And because it's moving, you see it as imagery of fearful things. And this is why Jesus has trust as the first characteristic of a teacher of God, because you're going to need it. You're going to need the trust to allow yourself to just be still. Just to be still in this place and say, okay, I see this happening, and I'm not going to touch it with my judgments. I'm not going to try to fix it. And what happens is you move through it very quickly. You will. You will move through it very quickly. And so what I was thinking about this week is what's the fast track? Like how can you, because a lot of people just keep trying to look for fear things to release. And that will take a very long time. You'll never get there. Because if you think about the two circles, fear and love, and you're in the thought system of fear, doing everything to get out of the fear, you keep moving around in the thought system. You keep getting closer, like you're moving closer to love, and then you come to the edge of the circle, and you never get out, right? Is that logical to everybody? So you need help. You cannot wake yourself. This is what Jesus says in the Course. You cannot do this by yourself because you're the one that landed you in the thought system. So if you know that, you'll open your mind up and say, okay, as a game, I will start playing with the idea of a presence that's with me, that will catapult you in your stillness and in your faith, literally lift you over to the thought system of love. And what he says in the Course is that no one knows how to live in this new world. But you'll begin to find mighty companions. And that's what this is. We have found each other. And now we're walking together. And for me, I just want to say the fast track for me, it was very simple, is to bless, praise, and love everything that moves. That's a fast track. So I want to think about what moves. What moves?
Everything, yeah, everything.
Well, what's the number one thing that's moving, do you think?
Our feelings.
Is what?
Our feelings.
Your feelings, yes, exactly, and your thoughts. And so the mind training shows you your thoughts now. Like before you were just in the world and things were happening and you were just reacting.
What moved? I didn't
Your
hear.
thoughts.
You thought. I thought it was a train.
Yeah, it's moving like a train.
Yeah.
Mhm.
More like a cloud.
One carriage
Train of
after
thought.
Train of thought, there you go.
So instead of being in doubt about everything, so obviously other things are moving. There's situations in your life that are moving, there's relationships moving, there's your bank account moving, there's all these things moving. But if you make a total declaration to be 100%, and I always just like to say it as a game, just try and see what happens, that from now on, you're going to love everything. And I guarantee what's going to happen is a lot of stuff's going to start moving to the surface. It just is. Everything that's not the light, that's not the love, will start to confront you. And, you were just saying this morning about a pain. So what I do with that is I feel like sometimes we're just moving through some energy fields. That's how I see it. I don't name anything anymore. And what I do is if there's something going on in my body, just say, okay, like, why do we call it pain even? Is it really painful or is it just a feeling? If you actually take a moment just to look at it, yes?
The way I've gotten through dental work is that I just say, okay, I'm feeling something. I don't have to identify it as pain and have a reaction. I can just observe that I'm experiencing something. And then you don't have that reaction, and you don't feel like you're being put upon by the world and by what they're doing in that office and so forth. You just feel like, yeah, there's something I can feel, and yeah. So no, it's not necessarily.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So you start to see everything differently. You start to really notice your thoughts. You're like, oh, I'm angry. Oh, I'm sad. Oh, I'm bored. Oh, I'm like, you never noticed that before. You just were doing your thing and things were happening and you were just allowing the energy to run the show. But now you're becoming a master. You are recognizing your I am, the I am that is within you, that's aware of the thought and the emotion. That's a miracle. When you get to that point and you recognize that you can shift out of anything by being grateful, and you see how fast it happens, and then to have the trust to let everything be exactly as it is. You're not allowing the external world to be in control anymore. And I've mentioned this before, I'm going to mention it again. I was with a teacher for 10 years called the Master Teacher, and one time he said, and I love this, and I use this all the time, and this is why I'm able to be happy. He said, okay, it's all you. It's all you. All the people, all the situations, everything that seems to be happening, it's you. But then he said, but some of the figures are you from the past, and some of the figures are you from the future. And I was like, what? And that, when he said it, it becomes fun to be here now. Because you literally are just in the world, and you're acknowledging it's all me, and it's all God. So what happens now when I see somebody that's coming up to me in pain or suffering or attacking me or something that's not love, I can remember, oh, I used to do that. I used to do that, even if it was like 1,000 years ago, killing. I used to do that. I used to kill people. I used to be racist. I used to be a hater. I used to be all those things. I was a rapist. I was everything. I'm everything that there is. So that's why forgiveness stops everything in its tracks. Because when I see it now, I realize I'm only healing myself. I'm healing my own projections of my own mind here. And then, and so that's fun. You know, it's just like you're not judging anymore. You're just seeing, oh, my brother whom I love. Ah, so nice to see you. No matter what they're doing. They're attacking me, and I still get it. I still get people that attack me. And I just, in that moment, the only thing I know how to do is be still. I just be still. I let them do whatever they're going to do, and then I'm listening though too. See, that's the thing I love. Like, you're listening now or what to do in this situation. And the only thing I know that I ever get is praise, bless, and love. That's it. And then the other part of it is you from the future. And this means is that into this closed and hopeless learning situation, which teaches nothing but death and despair, God sends his teachers. So in the place of my own darkness, and I was in the darkness for a very long time, alcoholic, cigarette smoker, depressed, bored, sad, you name it. And people can't believe that now when they meet me, because I'm not any of those things anymore. But into that closed and hopeless learning situation, which was my world, the light comes. And certain individuals showed up in my world, certain books, certain songs. The light comes in all forms. And so what we're being asked to do is open our eyes so we can see when the Christ has come. I said I was going to talk about this book. I had one of my future projections land in our home a couple weeks ago. And he brought this book, Pistis Sophia. I was talking about it on Facebook. And this is the teachings of Jesus. This is a lost gospel that they found in Egypt in 1887. And this is the gospel of the 11 years after the resurrection. And Jesus came back in his light body and was teaching to his disciples directly. He was no longer teaching in parables. He's teaching quantum laws, mathematical equations, and to me, what it did was open my mind up to this is way bigger than we could ever imagine what we're allowing ourselves to do with the healing of our minds. Like somewhere I was thinking that forgiveness is just for me and my local universe. And he's saying no. This is, the earth is only one teeny tiny cosmic dusty speck of littleness of the whole plan. And he's saying that Jesus coming into a body was the biggest miracle of all. Christ coming into Jesus' body. And it talks a lot about Mary Magdalene in here. It talks about the divine feminine as the Holy Spirit. It talks about the balancing of male and female. And what it's been doing for me is it's making me not linger in anything that's other than love anymore. That's what it's doing for me. It's just making me realize, oh my God, what a miracle that we're here. Christ has come in us, it's come, and you guys have accepted it. That you have said, yes, use me. Use my mind, use my life. I don't have a plan anymore. I'm just here available for the love of God to come through me. And so this guy, Phil, showed up in our living room from New York City a couple weeks ago, just shows up, right? And I heard he was coming. He's like, can I come? I was like, oh yeah, I don't know you, but yeah, sure. And he walks in. Does anybody know Phil?
Yeah.
Who met him? You met him? You met him?
You met us.
Where'd you meet him?
At your house.
You're right.
Oh yeah, the party.
Awesome.
Right?
Yeah.
But that's, to me, like when you shift your thinking and you shift your mind, and you think nothing's going to happen. And the thing I've learned is when I say I'm ready for a new experience, and I'm always ready for a new experience, I never feel like I've arrived. That's the best part. I always feel like there's this constant expansion. Like you land in a place and it's like everything that was from before just falls away, all addiction, sickness of the body, things start to fall away. But even that's not the end. So then it's like, okay, wow, what next? And you never know. It's a total support. You moving here even. Like everything, you moving here. Everyone who's moved here. You know, it's just like you have this moment when your whole world dissolves. And I, for the last 2 years, have been really, I want to say entertaining the idea of working with Jesus, but I have been working with Jesus. But I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to work with Jesus, and I had the most resistance of anybody to that word and to that idea. Holy Spirit, Christ, Jesus. I'm like, no, I don't need it. And finally, I thought, well, why not? Like, why not start to see maybe there's a presence that's with me that will help me. And I started to just open my mind up to that. So, okay, I don't believe in you at all, but I'm open. That's all I know, you know. And I started to have a practice of listening. So I started to change my schedule and my routine. I started getting up earlier. I did things like don't check Facebook in the morning, like practical things. Like I started to see, okay, I need to change the things I'm doing now to make space for listening. And I absolutely began to see he's working with me. And then I started to get people that were telling me about Mary Magdalene. And I don't know anything about her. But people started to say, she's working with you, with Jesus, and they're healers. And so when Phil showed up You know, he's talking to Mary Magdalene, and he showed up and said, you know, I know how A Course in Miracles works, and I'm thinking, oh, okay, here we go. He goes, if you give me 1 hour, I can tell you how A Course in Miracles works, and I okay. So we actually didn't have an hour, so we gave him a half an hour. It was the day of the party. It was the morning of the party, and it was people were starting to show up, and so we said, okay, we'll give you a half an hour. And he started talking about this material in here, and it's about A Course in Miracles. It's really about the necessity now to hang on to nothing. And you can do this. Nobody needs to hang on to pain anymore. Does anyone need to hang on to pain here anymore? Awesome. Okay, anybody out there? But can you imagine the speed up that's going to happen if there's those of us in time and space who have dedicated our mind to be so alert, to not let anything slip through the gate anymore? Nothing. And things are going to try to slip through the gate. Always. Pain in the body, your finances, people saying things to you. But you become a master now. This is what it means to be miracle-minded. And I want to just share a story about what happened in Oregon. I experienced what I consider so far to be the greatest healing I've ever experienced, ever, in Oregon. And she might be out there listening. I love you. And it made me realize the simplicity of what we're doing as miracle workers. We're doing nothing. And I did nothing. So this woman, I don't want to tell the whole story as far as the details go of what she told me, but we went to Oregon, and James Twyman did a awesome retreat. It was so much fun. It was about 60 people there maybe. And on Friday night they did a concert. Victor Wooten, who's this legendary world's greatest bass guitar player, did this concert, and they did a meet and greet at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, which I thought was for the musicians. I didn't realize that we were supposed to be there. And Bill and I were walking down the street around 5 to 4, and I said to him, are we supposed to be there? I mean, I knew we were going to be at the concert, but I didn't think we were going to be at the meet and greet. And as soon as I asked the question, I knew we were supposed to be there. Like, he didn't even have to say anything. I said, are we supposed to be there? And he said, I don't think so. But the way he said, I don't think so, I knew that he now got the message that we were supposed to be there. So we immediately said, we're supposed to be there. And that's when you're listening. Like, you're asking a question and you're available. And we immediately turned and we started walking towards the Armory. And we get there, and it was a lot of people there from the weekend, and we were meeting everybody. And this woman came up to me, and she said, I came for you. I came to this weekend to see you. I've taken a 40-day, But the last year and a half, I've been in this total place of darkness, and she told me a horrific story of what happened in her life. And I really don't want to go into the details of it. It was the kind of thing you see on the news. And there was some killing involved, and she's just been in this place of suicidal and darkness. And all I did was listen to her. I wasn't trying to heal her. I wasn't trying to do anything. I was literally in a space of so happy that she came. And so happy to be having her share this story with me. And this is what Jesus says, give me your burdens because mine are light, physically light. So now, like, I can see that people can tell me things, they can give me their stories, and I'm not judging. And this is what I love about the Course, it has become practical now, where you're not saying it's not real, oh, it's not real. It's nowhere in my mind would that have even occurred to me. So she's just giving me this story. This happened, and this happened, and then this happened, and then I'm feeling this, and I'm feeling this. And to me, the way we're healing and this is for everybody here, is you become so present now. You don't have an agenda. There's nothing you want in this world anymore. You want only to be available for God's love to come through you and enter into a joining with other people. And she gave me that gift. Because I have been thinking over the last year and a half, how is healing accomplished? Like, I feel like I'm a scientist. How really? I know what the Course says about it, but how does healing accomplish? And I'm completely inspired by Jesus, who says, it is not I, but the Father who is in me. He does the works. So, in that moment, she gave me, if you're listening, I love you, because she was just there being herself, and I was just there being myself. Wasn't trying to fix anything. And then I said about one of the people in the store, I love him. And she just burst out crying. She said, nobody says that. Everyone thinks he's a monster. I said, well, not me. They love him. And she just, and that was really it. Nothing happened. There was nothing I could feel, and I was listening. I felt like I was plugged into her. I was plugged in here. That's all. That's all and I just felt love. And the next day she showed up, she was totally different. She was absolutely different. And I didn't talk to her for the day, you know, there's a lot of people. And then at the end of the day she grabbed me and she said, can we talk? And we sat down and she said, it's gone. The darkness, it's gone.
Wow.
And she said, I didn't want to tell you at the beginning of the day because she wanted to make sure it was going to stick. She just thought, like, okay. But she said the second she walked out of the armory, it's gone. And then she spent the whole day, and you could just see you could see she was lighter. You could see that thing she was stuck in was gone. And then she just shared to me that evening, you know, just her gratitude. And so to me, that's how I want to live from now on. I want to see these kinds of healings. I want to release myself and other people from that dark place. And what she was expressing to me, and this is my experience also, is that these energies are very real. These dark energies are like entities. This is my experience. And if you are not vigilant, they will suck you in. And you won't know how to get out. And that's just my experience. And so that's why we have to help each other. So it's like somebody's reaching down into, when someone's in a dark place, it's not helpful for you to start giving them advice. You just reach down into the dark place, I love you. And you don't have to do it physically. You're doing it in your mind. You know, and Jesus says that, take my hand. So that's all I'm ever aware of now. Wherever I go, God is with me. God is with me wherever I go. And just listening, saying, hey, anything you need today? And if there is, I'm just available to it. My experience is we don't have to do much. He wants us to play. He wants us mostly to just be happy, to be in joy. And then when these moments come, you just be totally present for them.
I love your story. And I have a bit of a different experience about those entities. Having worked with probably close to 1,000 people now over the last 30 years doing workshops. You know, with people bringing some of the darkest, ugliest, nastiest stories you can ever imagine, all right? Murder, all of it, the whole mess. So, what I see around the entities goes back to what you said about the circle of love or the circle of fear. Because we can be holding on to those stories and not know we're the ones holding on to the story. Because for many of us, those stories happen for us in a place that when we were young, and we made some decisions about what this all was about, and we hold on very, very tightly. So what I've been trained to do, and what I know to do intuitively as well as professionally trained and stuff, is that I know that story is finished. Whatever that story was, it's finished. All right? And I know that there is healing. And it's just exactly what AA says, you know, that we'll hold that belief for you until you can hold it for yourself. So there's a place. That woman came to you, and she came willing and ready to let it go.
She did.
I think what happens for a lot of us is we meet people maybe before they even know there's anything to let go.
Right, yep. That's true.
You know, and so I've just heard some people in the course with meaningful, you know, with well-meaning hearts say, well, you just don't want to let it go. This is all you, you know, and that becomes a wall, you know. And what I heard you say was, I just stood there and she brought willingness to me,
Exactly.
and I saw truth for her until she could see it for herself.
Yeah.
But there's a level of like where people have to get to the willingness.
Definitely. And I think that's very important that you bring that up, because that's my experience too. Like, why aren't people healed? Why are some people healed and why are not other people healed? That's because of that exact thing you've just been talking about. They're not ready.
Let it go.
They're not ready to let it go.
And they don't even know how they're holding on.
Exactly. But the reason I love the Course so much is because of the all-inclusive nature of calling everyone out of darkness through my joy. This is what he says. Your joy heals all sorrow and despair and calls everyone out of darkness. So I don't care at all if people want to hang on to their story. I can tell you, I don't leave my circle to go join them in the story. That's my part.
Right.
So my part is just like what you just said. It's like, I'm going to hold this space of light and joy and love and gratitude and the truth for you, knowing you're coming. You're coming. I don't care if it takes you another 100 years or another 1,000 years. You're coming, because you're already back home in heaven. I'm just going to love you. We have a couple hands going up first.
You know, you talk on occasion about the pause, taking that moment before you have the reaction. Now, it's great if you can just find peace in that moment. You step out of the world, you step into your heart, and you've got that pause before you have that reaction. But another way that I can't say I always do this, but I understand this, that it works, is that basically you have the thought, and that thought creates a change in your electromagnetic field. It creates a change in your physiology. And sometimes you can even feel, for me a lot of times it's like down in the adrenal area, but you can feel a sensation in the body which is then prompting the reaction. Not just the thought, but like the reaction to the thought. And then if you can see that, well, you go, obviously it's not me. There's this feeling in my body which is then causing me to have this reaction similar to earlier reactions or other reactions that I've had. So if you can do that in that pause, in that moment, if you can't find the peace right away, you might be able to just realize that it's not coming from you, it's coming from someplace else.
Yeah. So it's always coming from me. That's what I know. But what you said is
But
true.
the thought comes from you
But what
originally.
you say about the feeling,
Yeah.
that's, and to me, that's the number one thing that I do as a practice, always saying, how do I feel? Because that will show you which thought system you're in the
Right.
moment. And if you're feeling anything other than the supreme joy, you're in the wrong place. That's all there is. And a miracle is a shift in perception. And if you can't shift out of that feeling at that moment, you've got to ask for help. You just ask for help. And for me, always, immediately, when I say God is with me, boom. that's it.
I just want to say that I think your unconditional love, and you were standing there holding that person in your unconditional love. I think unconditional love is from Jesus, is from God, and that is the healing power.
Definitely.
And you didn't have to say anything, she could feel that unconditional love and acceptance, and I just want to thank you for sharing that with us.
I feel like I went there to Oregon just to meet her, and she feels that she went there just to meet me, but to me it was this dramatic example of the simplicity of how this works now.
I wasn't gonna say anything, but you just blew me away when you were talking about this darkness being an entity, because I have a son who's indigo, and he sees that. He can see the entities. He can see the dark entities. And he's like, if anyone thinks they're not there, he goes, think again, because we're trying to stay in the light. And he said, the more you're doing your light work to center back, he said, they're right there. And he said, and they are entities. They are not just your thoughts. He said, they come from your thoughts, but they're right there. And he said, as soon as you pull back and they know that you're gonna try to push this light out to the world, he goes, I can literally see them, Mom. They come up on me, and I grab my cross, because they know I can see them, because he's just attached. He's an indigo child. And I've always been like, what? How can this be? And then you just said it, and I met someone last week who's working their spiritual path, and they told me when they were 10 years old, they saw these things, and it scared them so much that they've never been able to forget what they saw. And that got them into a place of really holding into their light and pulling light through them and around them. So when you just said that, I was like, oh my God, he's not lying.
Yeah. And the thing is like, this is where you now command the dark to go away. This is what Jesus did. Jesus was casting out devils and demons. It's nothing except the darkness. And so, like, I've read so much on the subject. I've just been so curious about healing and Jesus and metaphysics, and I mean, I just really wanted to know what this is exactly. And it says that when you say, I am one with Christ, and you're calling on the Christ, boom, the Christ is there. Ask and receive. Christ is always here. But the dark entities have zero power when you call on this. And you cast them out. You say, no, you can't hang out. Not hang out here anymore. What is it? What's that woman's name? Do we know?
Judy Whitehouse.
Judy White. And she, what's the prayer she says? It's
in the name of the Christ and the Christus,
one of the whole.
any and all unclean spirits must leave my body, my mind, my soul, my spirit, my psyche, and go to the light now.
Yep.
And it works
Just like that.
Just say
So
it.
that's just like this. So you becoming. We're gonna end in a few minutes here. I want to take a few more questions, but you now have become a master. I want you to claim that. I want you to know that you are a master, and that you can stay centered in love all the time now, just like Jesus did. Jesus was the first, and what happens is the darkness is gonna come. That's all I can say to you. This woman, when I met her in Oregon, I said, you're probably gonna land in that place again, but you're not gonna stay there anymore. You're gonna land in these spots, in the places of doubt, in the places of sadness still, but now you're gonna know you've landed there. And then you're going to start working like a master, like Master Jesus did, of casting them out. So no, I am all light. You can't hang out here. Go into the light now. Who had a...
I just had a comment. I just want to go back to where you started, was the two circles that don't intersect, love and fear. Everything we've been talking about, that's darkness, entities, or whatever, that's just all the fear circle. The minute I'm in the love circle, that circle is not like it exists. It doesn't exist. It's not even real. It is a non-entity.
Yep.
But it's only an entity if I'm in the circle. Then there are entities, like there's
Exactly.
bodies here.
Yeah.
This is all part of the
Yeah,
dream.
exactly.
Then the entities are part of the dream. But to me, the way I get into the miracle right away that I noticed that anything that isn't of love, by definition, is in that circle. If it's in that circle, by definition, it's false.
Yep.
And for the minute I recognize that something is false, then it doesn't have any power. It's not true with a capital T. And my mind instantly just can't believe in the falsehood.
Yep.
So I can't believe in this world.
Yeah,
I just can't.
And see, the thing is like the circles, those are just a teaching tool, and that's
Yeah,
not the truth.
Yeah, that's just,
It's just not the truth.
Yeah.
But Jesus has given us tools within the idea of separation to lead us out of our belief in separation. So the reality is all is love. There's only light. Even the darkness is light, actually. There is no, God's laws do not oppose. There's no opposites anywhere forever. There just isn't. So that's the truth. What you said is the truth. Now, can you live in that place? Can I live in that place of no opposites? Of course. But sometimes it doesn't seem that way. So I'm glad I have these tools that I can check in, and I start feeling the irritation, and I'm like, oh, wrong place. Hey, we're just going to do a quick prayer because we're gonna go right off of this thing in a few minutes, and then we'll take a break, and then we'll come back. Who would like to do a closing prayer? And come up here.
Me?
Yes.
So you saw me wanting to do
I saw you wanted to. We have 3 minutes.
To fill with prayer?
Yes. If we log off, we totally love you. Thank you for joining in.
Oh, okay, so, take a deep breath. Okay, so prayer is saying, God, you are here, I am here with you, inviting Jesus, or recognizing Jesus' presence. Jesus is always here, so Jesus, I'm recognizing your presence as my teacher and reflection of myself, Lisa, taught us this morning. I can only say thank you, thank you, thank you. What else is there to say the week of Thanksgiving? And because of this course, and because of the words that you put on paper, and what you gave to Helen for us to have, and for all this guidance that just comes over and over and over. I thank you for the words that I take with me when I leave this room, and when I listen to Lisa and other teachers on the internet, and I get to hear them again and again and again. They're one of the greatest tools for getting out of that fear circle and remembering that all there is the love circle. For all of this, I say thank you, and I know that we are richly blessed. Amen.
Amen. You know what I'm talking about? She did it again. She just did it right out of the park, just like they did at Unity Church on Sunday last week.
Yeah. So thank you so much for listening. If you would like to make a donation, there's a little button right there. We appreciate your generosity and your support. You're a miracle worker. We love you.
Bill sent us a message saying that he's watching,
I'm safe then.
Okay.
and he says, love to you all.
I love you, baby. Have fun in Florida. Love you, Bill. Love you, Bill. Love you, Bill.
Love you,
Bill.
Is it gone? I need you to tell me that prayer.
Yeah, totally.
And
Peace of God shining in me now. The 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 peace of God shining in